Well, hello again. Thank you for coming back. That means a lot. To start out with, my full name is Alicia Joy Bryan. School knows me as Alicia Bryan, go by Joy, so I have to say all of it. And today we are going to talk about letterpress printing in North Carolina. It's an informative speech. So I'm going to inform you about how letterpress printing started in New Bern for North Carolina. And to give you an idea, just in case you aren't aware, letterpress printing, Paul Maravella, he's the author of Letterpress Printing, which is a manual for modern fine printers. He said that it first uses three-dimensional type to transfer ink onto paper. And letterpress, it originated in Europe in 1450, and once Gutenberg invented the movable type, that allowed individual letters to be assembled into text, which would allow newspapers. There are many, many types of presses. There's an online community, it's called BriarPress. It's briarpress.org, and it's an online community of printers, and it is their goal to make you well aware of everything there is to know about letterpressing. And because there are so many printers, it's hard to narrow down which type of press was first used when it was brought to North Carolina. But the picture with the man in it, that's the one that is assumed the type of press that was first used in North Carolina when it came to New Bern. And you'll note that these pictures are all from the BriarPress Museum, is what they call it online. The next slide talks about the man who started it all. His name was James Davis. He was a Virginia native and an experienced printer. When North Carolina was a colony, or it became a state, North Carolina decided that it was time to hire a state printer. And according to Nicholas Graham, he's an author with the UNT University Libraries. James Davis was officially hired and brought to New Bern, and he set up his first press in 1749. And James Davis made three major contributions. One was the first press shop. The second was he created the first North Carolina newspaper. And the third was that he was the first one to publish a North Carolina native author. This is the location of the first press when James Davis came down here to set up shop. It's downtown New Bern, and the North Carolina Historical Marker Database identifies the first press as being located at what is now Broad Street and Middle Street. And that sign just says, this is where it was. When James Davis arrived in New Bern, his typical jobs as a printer for the state included printing currency, printing and distributing laws, and printing speeches and public proclamations. The reason for this was before Mr. Davis joined North Carolina's government, everything was copied by hand. So you had multiple copies, everything was wrong, nothing was said the same way twice. So once he settled in, got started on his regular duties, he went right to work publishing the first newspaper from North Carolina. And that is an example of what it looks like. That's a later version of that newspaper. And this, you can't see it very well, but it is it's one of the first newspapers that James Davis published, and it was called the North Carolina Gazette. It's important to note that because he was from Virginia, he modeled our first newspaper after the Virginia Gazette. So a lot of James Davis's work mimicked the work done in Virginia. On this slide, he published the first newspaper, got that on a set schedule. Then he moved on to publishing the first North Carolina author a non-legal book. Everything had been about laws, and so the next step was to get something published from someone within our state that was actually a very long title, and I hear that it was even longer. It was renamed again, but a reverend put together a compilation based on his sermons, and so that was the first book that was published in North Carolina. We certainly understand that James Davis was an important part of North Carolina's history and New Bern. It's great to say that we have this past. And along with the first press shop, the first newspaper, the first published author, he also established the first post office. So he was a very busy man. The University of North Carolina Office of University Development, they are the ones who have established a scholarship on behalf of James Davis and his family. They set that up, and so they are the ones who said that he was so busy that he was able to establish that post office. In closing, from Gutenberg to James Davis, I believe this quote accurately sums up the progress that he made, and it is saying that from movable type, that has changed the dynamics of making communication widespread. That was the goal of North Carolina, to be able to distribute their laws and communications to the public, and James Davis was able to satisfy that, and he got our printing industry started off the ground, out here in New Bern. Okay. How long?
Will you take questions now?
Yes. Tell me how long it is. Yes.
Did you say that there's a museum for the printing presses, or it's online?
There's an online museum.
Online museum.
There are pages upon pages of the different types of presses. It's amazing what they came up with. Even on that one side, none of them look the same. But the one that James used, it looked mostly just made out of wood, whereas the others, it was all whatever. Heavy duty. Yes. Yes.
What do you think he would think today about the Google and computers and instant print and everything?
I think with him wanting to accomplish so much, I think that he would be very proud. And it feels like he would have just went right with it. He would have been the one in there trying to figure out everything.
He would probably have been the geek, right?
Right, exactly. He would be the IT guy who knows everything. That's just, I've done a lot of reading about him just to put this together, so I get that impression. He's a go-getter.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
You do a presentation like this in a speech class, you did speech last month, but we've got 10 or 12 people. How would you feel doing a presentation and or speech in front of, say, 4 or 5 other people? Would you be as comfortable? Same. You may go to a company meeting or a conference that's got a whole big room full of people.
No, we went to Craven's Got Talent this past weekend, and the audience was dark, so everyone on stage just had the spotlight on them. So I think I would appreciate it more if I couldn't see you.
We can come with masks next time.
Okay, no offense, sorry, but it's just, it would be more comfortable.
We get used to it.
Yeah, right.
Get used to it, because what you're talking about, you know about, but we don't. So
Right.
that's what saved me